Madam Chair?
Okay. We'll call the Admin and Finance Standing Committee meeting to order for March 9th, 2026. Did everybody get a chance to read the minutes from the AI summary?
I did scan them.
Okay. From February 23rd. Any changes to those?
No, I think that, just trying to pull them up, just double check myself. Admin agenda. Apologies, not as prepared.
No, I know. I'm still getting my computer going here.
Other than I assume we're removing the next steps again. That's kind of a standard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can do that.
I think that's just a good move, because I just don't think that they
Yeah.
quite capture what our next steps are.
Okay. Does our secretary want to go ahead and do that before we forward them on to Lonnie as final minutes?
And then I'll make a motion as amended.
Okay. I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. And there they are. Sorry, I'm just pulling up the agenda here on the line, if I can.
That I have.
I was supposed to be secretary for land use, right? Not this one. Or was it this one?
Cinta is land use. I think it's this one.
Oh, okay. I will do that.
Pretty sure, right?
I'm pretty sure.
It was this one, not the other one? Okay.
Yep. I'm pretty sure Cinta's still got the other one, which is good.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay, City Council rules and procedures. I tried to incorporate the changes. Dave, did you make changes to that before you sent it out?
I did
Okay.
make a couple of changes.
Okay.
Specifically, it was down in the there was a spot where you said,
That was in the packet. Let me pull up the packet here.
Yep.
I apologize.
I can tell you what page it was in the document, not what page it was.
Okay, I've got it pulled up here.
Basically, I changed the location of where it said AI minutes that have been reviewed and supported shall constitute sufficient minutes.
Okay,
I
yeah.
changed where that was.
Oh, yeah,
in
that's
there,
what I noticed.
and
So it's
then-
in section 6 now.
No, it was still in section 6, but it was in like a paragraph later, and I just moved it up to where
Okay.
I would have to do a complete. There was nothing substantive that I changed here. What I did change, and I don't have a copy of it but I changed the backside of the main agenda. I'm assuming when you printed those, you printed the front and back off the copy I sent you?
Yes.
Okay, I don't have a copy of the front here or the back here, and I'll get it, but
Okay.
basically, everything on our list aligns with what it says in our council minutes. So if
Okay.
it didn't explicitly say it in our council minutes, I got rid of it. If you give me just a second, I can print the back side of it.
Okay. What?
There was a couple of just cleanup edits. They weren't substantive edits.
Oh,
And when I sent it to Lonnie, I do have a markup copy, but when I sent it to Lonnie, I did not. Let me go back in, because I didn't want to print it, I wanted it to be a clean copy. If you'll give me a second, I will share my screen, and I can share,
morning.
I can share what was there.
Okay. So the agenda that's in here matches what our current agenda is.
Yep.
Okay.
And I didn't include the back side of it there, so let me go into here. I'm showing it on the screen, I know it's behind you,
Yeah.
but let me go into the review. Changes. View all changes. Where do I go here, somebody?
I think it's review and then something.
Yeah, that's, I had it over under review, but I didn't show.
I think it might be to your far right. I
I
can't see on your screen, so.
I know.
Well, that's
I
the
don't
whole
have my
screen
glasses.
showing and they're not there, so give me just a second to,
It's okay, I just don't have my glasses on, so.
Definitely in the review tab somewhere.
yeah,
My eyes were that bad.
for
I think
everyone,
it's the
mark
screen on
off.
this
Okay. I mean, I know they're bad, but I'm like, what?
That's pretty fine point to be reading up there, so.
Go to all marked up. And I can, let me close these out for screen size. I'm monitoring it on my side so I can see if somebody joins us.
I made myself a coffee this morning. I haven't had one of these since I closed the tea shop. But I'm hoping it helps. You know, triple shot of espresso.
I left my coffee cup at at the office. Just like, oh, no to-go coffee. So I was just like slamming
I've been
2 cups of coffee before coming out
I've been
here.
trying not to drink coffee, but it's not, today I needed to.
Okay, so, well, it's got it over on the left side of the road. That's not what I'm used to seeing it.
Well,
It's okay.
that'll
Just go
work.
down here and tell us what you did, because I can't, none of us can.
So all summary votes that have been reviewed by approved,
What page is that on?
well, it's not, that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
It's not doing what I'm used to for the
Oh.
traditional. Let me go to the view. So maybe if I just go to next change.
okay.
This was just getting rid of an extra space, it looks like, on the mayor may decide all 3 votes.
Okay.
Oh, I changed the standing committee meetings that said the day of the council.
Right.
And I
thought you
changed
had
the
removed
standing
that.
committee meetings to be held in council chambers at a regularly scheduled date and time decided on by the standing committees.
Thanks. I thought I had caught that, but
No.
I
So,
appreciate you
Um,
catching that.
I thought you had caught
this
that
one right
too.
here,
I did,
this
but I
is
didn't
down
put it on
in
my-
6.
Second time.
I changed where the AI summary minutes because it was down and attached, and I moved it up here where it says, each standing minute shall be required to record legally sufficient minutes. AI summary minutes have been reviewed and approved by the committee shall constitute sufficient minutes.
Okay.
So I just moved that to there. And then when we go to next change, I changed where there was a 3-minute limit for all public comments. And then
Okay.
I think
Hang
I
on.
may have added limited to 1
Part-
comment per comment
partner.
period,
Hang on.
which is an expansion of what it said, but
Hang
it's
on,
what
Dave,
we
let me
do.
find that in here.
It's part 9, Roman numeral.
Okay, so, yep, there is a 3-minute time, yep, first one wrong.
Okay, and then, I think that's where I took it out of, was down there. Prepared statements is where it said there was a 3-minute.
Yeah, yeah, 'cause I didn't really know where to stick that,
Yeah.
so that's great. Also,
And then, part 10 was just, there was an underline here, although I'm still seeing the underline. I had gotten rid of the underline, just because it was left over underline, except
Yeah.
I'm still seeing it.
doesn't want to go away.
Well, or I may have missed, there may have been more than one, so that's all of them, we're back through. So that was the changes that I made.
Okay. Okay, no, thanks for catching that one, I thought I had caught that, but missed it the second time when I was going through it, apparently. There was,
And other than
do
that,
we, on the public comment, does it have to be under discussion by the council?
give me a second.
Under, part 9, addressing the council, I thought we had kind of, I know we did that in our standing committee public comments, but under addressing the council, we have the public is invited to speak on any item under discussion by council after being recognized.
That's
So-
actually the part that's always there, and I would recommend keeping it there.
Okay, so, but it doesn't necessarily have to, does it have to be on the agenda then?
No, well, yeah,
What
but
does
just
under discussion mean?
public comment is a section on the agenda.
No, I know that.
Okay.
I'm asking, what they're talking about have to be on the agenda?
No, not at all, because
Okay.
it says anything in the council's purview in another spot there.
Okay, so it just says under discussion by the council, but we don't have to be discussing it that night for them to comment on it, right?
Yeah, 'cause that,
Correct.
the way that, yeah, I agree with you, Jody, that reads.
I'm looking,
I just didn't remember it being.
but there's also a section in there that says, or, where it said, or when asked to.
And I think that's what that's trying to be. I think the public is invited to speak on any item under discussion by the council after being recognized by the presiding officer. So I think that is essentially not so much talking about public comment, but more so
Okay,
they're invited to speak on a subject.
that's
a
on
discuss-
the agenda as we
Or
go
like
on.
while we're in discussion.
We
So,
could,
for
we could
instance-
add a sentence there that just says, or during public comment.
I mean, I think that just separating those into two paragraphs would be fine.
think so.
But like, I see what that's trying to be, and having the public comment there next to it, I feel is confusing. So, that being said, all that is saying is if we're in the middle of a conversation, we have a question, and there's
Mhm.
the
Or it's an
expert in
action
the
item.
room, not even that, just like if there's
Yeah.
someone in the room that, and we wanna ask you, hey, what's your opinion on X?
Don't bother me, I'm sleeping.
Then, yeah, that would be what that refers to. So, I believe that's what that refers to, that's how I
Okay.
interpret it, so.
And then that's fine. I just, I was thinking the broader sense of just public comment, so.
Yeah, I just
That's
don't.
fine, as long as the presiding officer, is interpreting it that way, I'm fine with that being that way for the next 2 years, so.
Sure.
Yeah, you've got public comments on the agenda twice, so I don't
Okay.
see how somebody could
Yeah, okay,
not say that. And you've dictated that that public comment will be there, so.
right, I just didn't want it to have to be just what's on the agenda overall, do you understand?
I do.
Okay.
And
So,
that's, let me see if there's a way that we can,
because that's their opportunity, if there's something that council's not aware of, for them to stand up and say, hey, are you guys
Well,
aware of
invited
this?
to speak, we could just say, after being recognized by the presiding officer, if you're looking up there, we could just strike that right there.
Okay.
So I wanna keep that,
Yeah.
and specifically, hold on,
I could add before
Hold
that
on.
during public comment.
sorry, just. I don't feel like we need to add it, anything.
I think we just need to get rid of under discussion.
I don't think we need, I don't wanna get rid of that.
You
but-
don't? Okay.
And again, the reason being is I think it's two different things we're discussing. Is
Okay.
there's public comment, and then there's also being recognized by the council for further input on a conversation.
Okay.
And that's what I'm seeing there in those two sentences. I just want those sentences, if you just put a paragraph after presiding officer,
Oh, you just, like right there,
yeah,
right, and put an,
yeah, just,
put an
Yeah.
enter right there, okay. Yeah.
because then that way it's two different
Make any
things.
paragraphs after there.
Okay, and
Before you
I
say
would-
there is a 3-minute time
I would
limit.
say that it goes, so let me go up to,
Because, yeah, that's, there's addressing the council and then there's public comment. Okay. No, I'm fine with that.
so let me see.
I was just interpreting it a different way, so.
Yeah, again, I want it to be known that there will be there will be times where the public is asked to speak on something. We do it all the time.
Mhm. And then we usually have public comment after every action item too, but.
How's that? Is that big enough?
No,
for
that's,
glasses?
you are doing it wrong. Sorry, I don't have a way to edit this.
The public is invited to speak during public comments after being recognized by the presiding officer. The
Dave?
public, hold on, some people can't read it. Let me read it and then edit, okay? Thanks. My meeting. No, actually, it's not my meeting. I'll shut up.
Dave. All right.
Okay, can you see what I've got there for starters?
Yes,
Okay,
Yeah.
however you guys want to change it, I'm happy to edit it.
okay.
That's the distinction we're trying to draw. So
Go ahead, Chelsea.
public comment, and we're there to hear it. So
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah.
I don't,
No, and again,
What's the-
there's the additional piece, again, I think we're just making this way more complicated than it
We
needs
are.
to be. All it is that there's also a time
There you
when
go.
the public will be recognized by the presiding officer to provide input into a discussion,
Not during.
not during public
designated-
comment.
Yeah, not during designated public comment.
So during this conversation, I could go to Lonnie and be like, hey, are we being ridiculous right now? And
she's
she
gonna
can
say
provide
yes.
input. That's all I'm saying, is I don't necessarily, I think that it's fair that we leave it, end of the day.
yeah, I see what you're saying, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's fine now,
It needs to be.
because we're addressing the council versus the public comment period. So there's two different things. There's just a, read this real quick. Any person,
Why not just have a clause like after general public comment stuff, to be like, the public may be invited to comment on
Yeah.
something like that?
under any item under discussion by council?
Yeah.
I have a little hair that stands up on my neck when you say any item under discussion. I want to change that to any item up for action.
Okay, that would give clarification. Because it is also invited to speak, not just for public comment,
Well, and what I don't want is the
So
council jumping into
back and forth.
in the work session on every item that you guys are discussing
Right.
during the second half of the meeting.
Yeah, true, we don't usually have public comment on the work session.
And the statute says any item up for action.
Okay, that's fine. Because if they want to talk about what we're doing in the work session, that's what these meetings are for.
I
And
can
they
see
can-
why an action item would be required to
Right.
open the public comment, but why wouldn't we want it during discussion? I'm a little confused on that.
Because it's a work session, and I don't.
I feel like work sessions, like especially when you want public.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's kind of,
I think it's just kind of been more the standard that we tell everyone what we're working on and we send out our agendas for, because these are technically our work sessions. The work session for council has typically been more about, I don't know, I guess I could see what you're saying. Like, if we get to the point, I'm like,
to me, if we're having a
It's too
discussion
early.
and someone has knowledge in the room, that would be
Yeah.
great, the perfect time to maybe
Mhm.
ask about.
it's not like we're going to open it up for public comment after everything we talk about in the work session. They would be invited to
Right.
talk about it. I get you, yeah. So,
And that's not necessarily the public, that's a specific SME or expert on topic X, so.
okay. That's true. So it's not saying we can't do that. It's just. Invited. If anyone has, do you have any other suggestions, Susan, on how to do that, or?
I could say before action,
Okay,
up for,
I mean, I would just get rid of that second sentence, and just
Yeah,
call it good.
yeah.
Like, you're invited to speak.
oh, because that is specified
yeah,
or
you're gonna,
designated public comment.
yeah,
Yeah. And you've got a 3-minute time limit.
I would leave it in there because it shows that we're in with the statute, but it's you guys'
oh, yeah, I think we do need, because it's also, we have designated public comment, where they'll be called upon, you know, they can come and talk, and then they're also invited to speak under any item up for action. So in other words, we're gonna have public comment after every action item also.
Okay, well, then I would put that second one first, since that's, and I feel like 1 and 3 kind of go
You
together.
would switch
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
to the first one,
Yeah.
and then if I do that, I'm gonna get rid of the also here.
Yeah.
And put it here.
Yeah.
Chelsea,
And just-
have we addressed what your concerns were?
Sure.
I think it's fine. And, we, And that's the official public comment part. There's nothing to say that we can't.
Yeah, no, end of the day,
Yeah,
it's,
I don't, yeah.
we're not gonna have someone here slapping us if we do it wrong.
Yes, we will.
Well, so one more thing, public comment will be limited to one comment per comment period, maybe one comment per person per comment period.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Okay. And then now that I've got those comments showing up on the side, if
And-
there's any other,
And as far as the work session goes, we can always call on people, but we don't want the expectation we're gonna have public comment after every item, because we have a public comment at the end where people can comment.
Yeah.
So if there's something that comes up and they want their opinion known about that item we've just discussed, they have that opportunity without having a back and forth conversation.
Or 3 minutes of
Yeah.
unrelated stuff in between every.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Every topic.
Yeah, okay. Are we
Yeah,
good on
work
this now
sessions
then?
aren't long enough, period, so.
Okay,
we good?
yes. Will you, have copies
I will
available
reprint
for
that
them?
for
Thank
tonight.
you. Appreciate it. For tomorrow night. I know, I do that.
Or, yeah,
I know.
I'll have that
Okay.
prepared for the meeting, that's gonna be my new default.
Yes. For the meeting, okay. Okay, let's go back to the admin meeting. Okay, we're done with that. Annexation into Red Lodge Fire District.
All right,
Dave,
me, I'm already up and showing, so let me,
Alright.
so I worked on, this is kind of our slideshow, this is kind of taken from the greater budget presentation, it's kind of an end there, but here is, get their attention,
Yeah,
okay? Here is a page that, in and of itself, is some text, we can talk about it. Basically, it's talking about MCA 1510-420. Couple of things I called out is that people understand this is completely independent of property tax evaluations, because I think there's a lot of confusion from that in general. Basically, it's last year's collected tax plus 1/2 the average rate of inflation over previous 3 years plus new growth. By the way, that has changed this year going forward. That's part of the new changes. Once property tax value has been established, values have been established, the Department of Revenue then calculates the number of mills each municipality is allowed to assess to reach the allowed collections. For municipalities, the number of allowed mills assessed changes every year. If property values have gone up, the value of each mill is higher, and therefore less mills are needed to reach the allowed tax collections. And I've got Lonnie and Jeremy both in here to see if there's anything in there that's stated inaccurately, or
I would just say fewer mills are needed, but
you say what, sorry?
fewer instead of less.
Where?
Well,
instead of less mills, put
Yeah,
fewer mills.
Yep,
But that's just,
that's just grammar.
um,
There you go.
I mean, generally speaking, the county sets the mills, the DOR.
They set the value.
Yeah, DOR sets the value, and then the
Okay, so
the
let's
county figures out how much millage they can charge for.
so the Department of Revenue, which is one of those capitalized things too, isn't it?
You could say once property values have been established by the Department of Revenue. And county
Have been established,
So the
okay.
county
Five.
actually doesn't calculate it, because I have to give the county what we are, it's a state formula that we use to factor in how many mills, and I tell the county how many mills to assess. They
Okay,
don't,
but-
they don't do the calculation for us.
Well, the DOR doesn't either, it's dependent on what your jurisdiction.
Correct, but you
Yeah.
were just saying that the county does the calculations. We have to do the
Well-
calculations and send it to the county.
Sure.
Okay, let me,
Or actually, we send it to Department of Revenue. Department of Revenue then in turn sends back to
mills
the
are
county.
calculated,
But DOR has no idea what any jurisdiction is gonna ask for in their budget.
No, and that's why I have to give you guys the resolution and the our factor, or our calculation.
Just say they're calculated.
Right, do that.
Calculated.
Well, not even allowed, because you can ask for fewer than,
I'm gonna just highlight this, that I think I understand what the difference is,
okay.
and I'll just work on that so that it makes sense later.
I don't think I know of any city that actually, does fewer meals than they're allowed, but I mean,
Yeah,
Well-
there's several
And you
cities
can bank
fewer
earlier.
that are allowed, actually.
Sometimes.
We have to decrease what we're allowed, we have to decrease because of resort tax.
5%.
right, but, yeah.
Okay, so what that all means is this.
Great.
So here's, by the way, I have in here, down at the bottom, just so you know, here's the math behind all that, which is a lot. So here's what it is in simple terms. In 2000, it cost you $100 to buy a $100 widget. In 2024, it cost $166, but we're only allowed to collect $129, which is basically a 22.69 loss in purchasing power. Okay? Now, these next two slides, the numbers are not accurate yet. So what I'm doing is I'm going through and pulling up, what I tried to make it do in here is just to show where property taxes go, and basically the lion's share is public safety, is fire and police. And then here's tax. This is basically, tax relief, and then here's kind of all the other stuff.
So their property taxes don't go to tax relief.
Right,
Resort
exactly.
tax
I
does.
was gonna say.
No, well, okay,
So you gotta pull that
Okay.
out, and like that,
So,
that's resort tax.
yeah, okay,
I thought like
tax relief.
100% of our property taxes was going to public
Yeah, I just
safety.
think that these are not real
Okay.
numbers, that's the little asterisk up there, I was just
Okay,
making a pie chart to make sure it told the story.
yeah, I think the story is that
Um,
it's gonna be almost 100% goes to public
Yeah.
safety.
So then, hold on, property taxes, so removed. So then this is the one that you're going for, and again, these aren't real numbers yet. So here's our property taxes kind of going up the top,
Yeah,
and here's police, and here's fire, but I also called out that police also receive resort tax dollar for capital purchases,
right,
okay? And then, like I said, when I put the real numbers in there, what we're gonna see is that's right up against that line.
Yep.
Is that telling the story you were going for, Jody?
yes, because I mean, it's very accurate, I mean, our police budget and doesn't our police budget pretty much take up the whole amount we're collecting from property taxes? And then fire is over and above that, so we're actually gonna be over what we're collecting in property taxes for fire and police.
Yes
Yep.
and no, because there's some other dollars that come in that we get allocated.
But you're talking about this being property tax
Specific.
collection,
Property
specific.
taxes, right.
You don't have any other fees going into that, it's just property taxes. I mean, if you wanna include a separate pie chart with, these are our fees we get in, and these are.
No, this isn't fees, this is,
Okay, well,
there's stuff we get from property taxes that's not part of the property tax number, and I'll work with Lonnie after.
right, but your chart is specific to property tax collections versus public safety.
Those are
spending.
those are property taxes also, not fees. There is stuff we get from property taxes beyond what you're thinking of in property taxes. There's 2 or 3 different things that we get that are allocated that ultimately come from property taxes. So I'll work with
But aren't
Lonnie on
those
that.
specific for like the insurance and the health insurance?
That's
and
part
the-
of it,
and the
yes.
reti-
Yeah, so there's,
Right, but,
we have comp insurance, we have our retirement, and those are separate from the general fund.
right,
So you have your property tax, which is, last year was 700 and some.
right,
I
I
mean,
mean, if
that's
you-
gone with that's gone with police.
right. So I guess what I'm saying, if you're gonna do just,
And I'm not gonna do just general fund, that, because the answer is, no, our general fund doesn't exceed the money we take in, because it can't by law.
no, but we have other income coming in besides his property taxes into the general fund.
Can you give me the list of those? The-
So you have
business
your
license fees.
You have your fees, you have entitlement share,
That's what I was looking for.
but that doesn't come from your property taxes unless when you pay the state, maybe? I don't know quite where entitlement share comes, it comes from the state. Where the state allocates that money from, I'm not quite certain. But as far as property taxes people pay in the county, that's this one. That's, I think, what you're shooting for, maybe on this slide.
Yeah.
I think what you need to do is just, it's okay for our public health and, I don't know if it's technically okay, but in this graph, it's okay to
Yeah.
show that we're spending more in public safety than we're collecting in property taxes right now.
Right,
And we're
right.
making up that difference out of other fees and
Yeah.
collections that are
And
coming in.
like I said, these numbers aren't real, so, but that's the
Right.
part that I said I need to get with Lonnie, and
Yes.
Lonnie wasn't available at 11:30 last night, so I just did this on
Damn
my,
it, Lonnie.
okay?
Sounds
So,
good.
so
Yeah.
then, here's, go ahead, I'm sorry,
Uh,
Madam Chair, you have a,
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Might be helpful just to have a slide that shows, like, this is how much we receive from each of these different places.
that's the note I made.
This, okay,
I
sorry.
know it's microscopic, but,
Yeah.
thank you.
Just want to be sure, that just
Okay.
one slide, and that's all it's got to say is it comes from X sources,
Right.
not necessarily where that money goes, but just this is the percentage of the budget from where it comes.
So there's another set of slides that I can probably pull over into this, that I do on a service-by-service basis. And so in that slide, when you see police, it won't just have a asterisk that says there's also resort tax dollars. It'll say, here's total cost of police. This much comes from taxes, this much comes from resort tax. That's what you're talking of, Chelsea?
Kind of reverse, to where it's like, we get X from resort tax, we get X from property tax, we get X from
Yeah, so
entitlement.
on the
Yeah.
revenue side.
Yeah, versus.
Yeah, and it's two slides, because it says here's
Yeah.
where the money comes in,
Yep,
here's where it goes out, sort of a thing.
exactly.
And I don't have that in here yet, but that's the standard, to me, that's the budget for every single department.
Yep, I just think it'd be helpful for people to
Yeah.
understand that, because again, the same conversation we're having right now, where it's like, oh, well, this isn't all the money.
Yeah.
Like, if people thought that like 100% of our budget was gone already, like, that would cause issues.
So
Like
David,
this slide, just looking at it, you would assume that, oh, well, we
Yeah.
can pay for all of police and fire through our property taxes alone,
Mm-hmm,
and that's not the case.
yeah,
And
exactly.
additional slide, for full costs and where it comes from.
Yeah.
Okay, I've added that, and Jody nailed it. The purpose of this slide is to say, folks, all of our property taxes go to public safety. And by the way, that is not unique. That is all the municipalities. That is there are several towns. One of the groups we had at our conference, was the Oregon League of Cities. And they had one town fold, and they have another half a dozen that are folding. And in Montana, we had Miles City last year that had their, so this is not a unique situation to Red Lodge by any means.
Right, and the difference is like with Miles City, they don't have a resort tax to help with their parks. They didn't open their city pool in a town that gets over 100 degrees most of the months of July and August.
Yeah.
See, that's the problem with living, that's the problem with living in West Dakota.
Say now.
Okay, so potential solutions. Ballot measure to raise the general property taxes. And I would say 23 mills proposed, because that's what we've lost over the last 20 years. That gets us back to where we were 20 years ago.
Okay.
Ballot measure for public safety, and they had come up with 18.93 mills. Practically speaking, there really is no difference between those two, because if 100% of your taxes are going to public mills,
Public safety.
and like I said, that actually went to, that popped up in front of the standing committee that was the very first I had ever heard of them, or I would have shared this with them and said, that's not the solution and why, but it's now part of the conversation. And then here's annexed into the fire district. So this eliminates, in addition, so it eliminates an unpredictable amount of changing mill value. eliminates unpredictability of changing mill value, ensures city residents are paying the same rate for services as the rest of the fire district. So right now, we're paying 28, the rest of the district is paying 1. And then the last thing, which is to me, the big one that really makes this a preferred option, is as a fire district needs more money in the future, they go directly to the voters rather than coming to the city and just saying, we need it, and holding us hostage and we don't have any choice.
So I would put, go ahead, Jeremy.
Okay, I wanna hear what you said.
I was just gonna say, we need to explain that first one, eliminate some predictability of changing mill value. It's because we are paying them 28 mills, and so our contract with them fluctuates every year.
I would say eliminates unpredictability of changing mill value deducted from general fund.
And deducted from,
Yeah,
Deducted from the general fund.
right.
okay?
I don't think. I think that's it, okay.
Percentage of general fund. Okay?
Yeah, you have to consider that if you're going to be using this as a public presentation, they're not gonna understand that unless you explain it.
Right.
So,
And we can do some.
and some of our city council members might not either, that hasn't been on admin and
Yeah.
finance before.
Yeah.
It's not just public, it's,
Yeah, this is not a light reading.
I know.
Good news is we're about
I'm
done.
gonna get in the weeds there, Dave.
Well, and we're talking about raising people's taxes by,
We have to,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, no, I'm glad that you are. It's good to provide insight into this because most people just see the tax bill. That's all they.
so additional alternatives is a ballot measure to allow resort tax to be used for non-capital public safety expenses.
Mhm.
However, tied with that, less dollars would be available for other items paid from resort tax, which is our infrastructure match dollars significantly, parks development and maintenance, and also our 50/50 sidewalk cost share, and if you guys have anything else you want to throw in there, let me know. I'm just trying to think, what are the big things that people care about coming from resort tax?
Yeah, I would say you kind of cover it there
Well, it's not just
and,
structure match, it's like capital too.
yeah.
Go ahead, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I interrupted.
No, you're right. Like, I was trying to think of that, but, because essentially the 50/50 sidewalks cost share,
And
I think just having sidewalks is really where people, and again, I'm not sure how many people are familiar with the 50/50 sidewalks
Yeah,
cost
it's
share
brand
yet,
new.
just because it's literally brand new.
And if it takes off, we may put more money in it, you know, we just started it with 50 to see if anybody would even want
Yeah.
to do it,
Yep.
so.
You could just say sidewalks in general, sidewalk repair and maintenance.
Well, I don't
Yeah,
want them to think that,
including-
but I don't want them to think the city's responsible for sidewalk repair, because we're not. The resident that owns the adjacent property is responsible for the sidewalks per ordinance.
But I
So-
think the point of keeping infrastructure rates from going up even
Right.
further is, because like I said, as much as people don't want to hear it right now, there's a very valid argument that our water and sewer rates are artificially low right now.
They are.
Because
Right.
we use resort tax.
Don't know.
I
I don't know that they're necessarily artificially low, it's just we wouldn't have been able to do the projects that we've been able to do.
So then the last option we have, which is where Miles City went, because that's all the options they had, reduction in public safety services. So MCA does say that you will have police services, and specifically it says police coverage, and it says ordinance enforcement. And it says they must provide fire services. Now, it does not say what level of service that is. So I could say, Jeff is our volunteer fireman, he's gonna have a bucket with him and a walkie-talkie, and whenever something catches on fire, he's gonna grab a bucket and head to the scene, and that's our fire protection. That actually qualifies. However, so then what is the appropriate level? Basically, as much as the citizens are willing to pay for. And then there's a little side note there, and I get conflicting information from Jody and Tom, so I wanted to discuss this a little bit. There are indirect costs associated with not providing a particular level of services, and the most identifiable one is it impacts what your insurance rates are.
Yes.
I mean,
And absolutely, I mean, there's a huge difference between having a good fire department and having someone with a bucket that would not be a recognized fire department per insurance.
Well, the,
So,
well, the
yes,
cost doesn't have to have direct dollar value either.
yeah, yeah,
It's reduced public safety.
yeah, exactly.
you are
So,
less safe now.
yes,
Why we're
but
paying.
changing your, you know,
Yeah, that's actually, let me see if I can, less coverage equals less safety.
yes, I like that, absolutely. That to me is the big thing. If you are, you know, are you gonna be like Billings where you call someone and they tell you, well, we don't have anybody available to come right now, so it'll be 2 hours and, you know,
And,
that
and
type
then,
of thing.
so, and then with our current contract that's in place, basically the only choice we'd have would be to cut police staff and coverage.
There again, you know, when you call the police, you really want them to
You know, it's one of those conversations I remember having when I was on council, like, ooh, and now granted, if we don't get more money, we have no choice.
Yeah,
But nobody wants to be the council that says we went from 7 officers to 5, and then
we have someone on
And-
call.
Aunt Marty
Most of the
Sue
time.
gets, you know, her door kicked in and something bad happens, and you were the one who got rid of the extra officer, sort of a thing.
Yeah, and we have someone on call who can't afford to live in Red Lodge, so they're living down at Roberts, and it's gonna take them a half hour to get here.
Okay.
Yeah,
So here's going back into the annex into fire district, preferred solution, would equate to a 21 mil tax increase. Basically, they're gonna pay, and I put approximately, basically, they're gonna pay what everybody else is. It's an additional item on their property taxes versus an increase in the city taxes. And that would free up 28 mils in the current general fund budget.
so Dave, I think you need to put a slide in there specific on why we currently cannot use resort tax for public safety operations, so that people know why we have to do it this way. I mean, I know you have that in there as an other ballot measure, but I think you absolutely just need one slide that says we cannot use currently, we cannot use resort tax for this because of the way,
Resort
it-
tax can only be allocated for X.
Yeah.
Therefore, it cannot be used for Y.
just because that's gonna be but an alternative would be that, yes, we could put it before the voters again to do that, but if you do that, you're not gonna be able to, you'll lose your ability, you know, your, ability to, or it'll lower your, however you want to say that.
Well, if we're doing a whole new slide, you could just copy paste in from the
You're gonna
administrative,
spell check that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the administrative ordinance that just says,
Yeah,
here's what it can be.
exactly.
It's not that long. It's
Right, but, you know, we're gonna say, well, we have all this resort tax coming in, why are you asking
And
us for
even
more?
the voter language,
Yeah. Just want it perfectly clear, but currently, as it's written, it's not an option.
Can we go down to the benefits again?
and remember, we weren't quite done yet. So
Yeah.
the benefits of this one right here, the preferred solution,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that putting dollar amounts to the best of our ability, even if we have to use last year's numbers, would be beneficial. Just because again, no one knows what a mill is, but you know what a dollar is, like.
Yeah.
So it might be beneficial to say, this would free up X amount of money in our budget, and
I feel like an effective slide would be one with 2 pie charts, one from, 10+ years ago, when we were collecting like 130 mils, and then another one today.
yeah, that's,
Be like, here's fire's percentage of the general back then, here's fire's percentage now.
that's very
Yeah.
beneficial, I like
Yeah,
that.
that's
Yeah.
great. So,
That 28 mil equals this bigger chunk now, is the problem.
Yeah. This is why mills is ridiculous.
yeah, well, yeah, taking a mill of a mill is
Right.
And when it's all done, I will send this out to all you guys, and you
Okay.
can scribble and do whatever we want from there.
No, well, thank you so much for putting all the work in on
Yeah.
this. It's a great,
Okay, so additional benefits eliminates the unpredictability of changing mill value, ensures city residents are paying same rate for services as the rest of the fire district, and if additional dollars are needed for fire protection, fire district goes directly to the voters. And quite frankly, that to me is the big one that makes this the preferred option over either of the other two up front, that were basically tax mills. All right. Where would the freed up 28 mills be spent? First off, it's a one-time adjustment to just to help address the fact that we've lost 23% of our purchasing power. By the way, that chart right now is 24 as late it goes. I'm going to reach out to Ashley and see if she has another row and have her go through this as well. Would also allow for a full-time city administrator, which is also somebody who frequently has a planning background. Additional staff currently have a grant option, which would pay for much of the cost of an additional officer, but need to know we can cover the match for a minimum of a 4-year grant period, hopefully beyond. And it also would allow for improved ordinance enforcement. And then it avoids creating an additional load dependency on the resort tax. Now, going back to something that Jeremy said, and I think what's ultimately going to happen this year is just like this chart is only the stuff coming from the general fund. It's not coming from resort tax. The reality is, the way it's written right now, we could pay part of it using resort tax right now, which is like an immediate fix, which I think is what's going to happen. However, you're still back to you're still back to that decreases the amount of dollars available for other things if you do that.
what,
Each dollar can only be spent
what
once.
part is gonna be paid out of resort tax this year?
Well, right now, nothing,
Specific-
because
oh, okay.
when they said, yes, we could do that, they said we had to renegotiate the contract, and their,
What contract? The fire?
the fire contract.
Okay, yeah, that's
Oh,
the main
wait.
part I was like,
No, yeah, so their fire contract, and we were all completely done, and then he was like, okay, but I want extra $300,000 for resort tax. And it's like, so my 2 cents is, I'd probably, if we end up having to do a little bit of, some out of resort tax, particularly right now where they have funding to build a new fire station and they're doing capital, we may use that as leverage to get out of this 28 mills thing, a little bit sooner there. But again, the downside to using resort tax is those resort tax dollars aren't available for other things.
Right.
And,
It's not an
and we've
infinite amount of money.
we've had public input when we did that resort tax survey a few years ago, where they came in and said, we want it to be for X, Y, and Z.
Right. Yeah,
Impact to average homeowner, so this is breaking it out basically where it says per $100,000. But the other thing is just, if you look at your current bill right now and see what you're paying to the ambulance district, that's about 21 mils. So you could look, everybody could look at it and see their own and kind of know what's there. And then some blanks, then just need to chase down what's the average home value and what's that cost per year.
which is now more complicated. We should almost have one for a homestead house and one for a non-homestead house.
Jesus Christ.
Oh,
oh, God. Yeah.
Like your second home's gonna pay more than yours.
or I could do this.
Right, because your commercial is totally different too than your residential home, but.
Yeah, I feel like when these go to the ballot.
The best answer,
Yeah,
the best answer is gonna be that top one. Look at your tax bill and see what you're paying to the ambulance district.
right.
But again,
And that's what the
20.5.
increase would be then if we
Yeah.
were annexed into the Red Lodge
Right.
Fire District.
Because currently they are charging non-city residents 21 mils on their property.
It'll still be different though, because
Yeah.
2025 doesn't have that homestead versus not.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't seen that on a bill yet, so.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just gonna have to put because you have no way of knowing.
I
what
could
that's
give you
gonna
some
be.
hypothetical scenarios, but
Yeah. When do those bills come out? And,
it would be for the 2026 tax year. So this next, that,
About
May of 27.
oh, it's not even 26, it's 27.
So
The actual
again,
bill, you won't
That-
see till then, yeah.
Right, that's what I mean, yeah.
Going
It's not
back-
gonna be this next one.
going back to the first slide that I called out, because a lot of people don't get this, is that none of that has any impact to the city. It has great impact to individual property owners,
Yeah,
but our city value is completely independent. All it's doing is pushing who's paying what percentages of that.
I still would love to know where all that extra money goes if the cities aren't getting it and counties
So
aren't getting
it turns out there is no extra money. So Jody, look,
But we're all paying more
no,
in
we're
property
not.
taxes.
No, our city property practice is this.
No, I know
And
that.
next year, it only goes up to this.
It does.
What changes is if you say this much of it, inside of it is coming from property, this much is coming from commercial. What's changing is the internal lines of, the pie is the identical shape, regardless of how property values go up or down.
So when my residential property taxes went up, commercial went down? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, actually, and that's what they changed, is they fixed it, so it's now they made it as a burden on individual property owners. So that's why ours is going down and commercials is doubling. The pie is identical, the wedges inside of the pie change. That's why we're able to budget at a city level, without knowing what those, he's talking about, we're not gonna have that information for a year, but our budget number doesn't change. Now, side note, they did change the budget number, so it's now actual inflation up to 4%, but we only get 75% or 50% of new value, depending on the type of the property. So they're still screwing us over. The legislature has this general theory that local governments are abusing power and doing everything they can to handicap us there. So anyway, there's the, what would we do with the freed up 28 mills? Lonnie, anything you would add to that?
No, I think you're gonna, as we go along.
Yeah. Okay. Impact to average homeowners where we left it, and then I'll have a little star that doesn't reflect new homestead, doesn't reflect new values, homestead versus non-homestead rates. What's next? How do we make it happen? So this is an MCA-defined process. It's a petition based on property owner taxpayers within city boundaries, requires 40% of property owners, 40% of property values.
And
Fire
both of those have to be met?
Pardon?
And both of
Yeah,
those have to be met?
and
Yep.
fire district accepts offer to allow the city to annex. So theoretically, now this is an interesting thing because last year they passed, so let's go back to police. You're not required to have a police department. You can meet that requirement by having an interlocal with the sheriff or a neighboring city so if we wanted to have Bear Creek's police department come monitor Red Lodge, we could write them a check and they could be responsible. We could say, there, we've met our coverage. But they did change a law that basically says you have to go to annexation, interestingly enough, you have to go to non-binding arbitration with the league to try to work things out, because that's what most of the small cities in Red Lodge or in Montana are doing. And then it goes to binding arbitration, and a binding arbitrator just says yay or nay. I suspect that something similar will happen here, or we could cause it to happen if we didn't need to. I think that precedent has already been set. And then the county commissioners approved the request to annex into the fire
Yeah,
department.
and this public hearing with the county commissioners, and I noticed that with, was it Bridger that was trying to annex into Clark County Fire Department? The Clark Fire, not county, but Clark Fire Department. I think, I saw it in the paper that they had like a couple of public hearings on that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they're doing it too.
Yeah.
We're trying to.
Okay, then the other thing is I can just create a flow chart, which I haven't created yet, that says blah, 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 blah. And then the other thing is just,
Sort of like a timeline, is that what you meant? Something like a timeline for that one?
Yeah.
The flow chart?
well, and then I've got the, kind of like a linear, and then I've got the critical timelines and dates.
Okay.
So that, based on our conversations that we've had up till now, what questions have we not answered for telling our story about, yes, please sign this petition?
I think once we make some of the edits that have been requested, giving this to random person,
Okay?
just anybody in town that probably has never heard of a mill, and see what they think about this.
Okay?
See how they're, like, I think that is a good measure of, and not like providing explanation, literally just sending a link. Yeah, I mean, obviously some explanation, but not like answering questions out the gate and then trying to explain to them each slide. I think it's more important that they can go through it, come up with their questions at the end, and that will tell us what we need to answer.
And I have run that past Sue, but get a wider sample, so,
Yeah.
once completed, share with a couple of standard residents, get additional feedback.
You know, what is standard, like what is normal?
Yeah.
Normal is highly overrated, but, so Jeff, Madam Chair, may I?
Yes, of course.
So Jeff, you're Joe Bag of Donuts citizen.
Take it bonus?
You get to be.
You're standard citizen
I did not say normal, I said Joe Bag of Donuts, and we're out of time.
Oh, okay.
What's your initial thoughts about explaining why we're pursuing the annexation into the fire rather than
There's
not?
gonna be a reduction in what the constituents or the taxpayers that live within the city are going to be paying in the end. It looks like you're paying more upfront, but you'll see a reduction as far as what the city is gonna pay out for, firefighting services.
Yes.
I will tell you that the downside of this is that the fire department will come back and say, the city should be paying more because we have to have three fire trucks to provide adequate sustainability for the city, and we only have to have one for the county. Now, it doesn't mean I buy it, I'm telling you what their argument has been in the past, and so they may still come back and say, we want additional resort tax dollars to help cover costs of the fire, and these costs are yours because we have to have additional stuff that's there.
Well, and those would be
And-
capital costs, like a new engine or whatever.
Yeah, it'll be capital costs like a new engine or a new building.
But when they come back to the voter with a ballot measure for increasing their
They have to.
revenues?
And
not-
right
not
now,
come to the city?
they just come to the city and say, give us more money.
Right.
And that's like, I don't have more money to give you.
It just does leave it open, though, that they could come and ask for money out of resort tax.
They could.
Yeah,
they
But
could for
do the
capital.
other too, they
Right.
could go do a ballot
Right,
measure.
exactly. They would still, they would have two choices to come,
and-
and they would like to be able, if we do this, they would like to be able to have that opportunity to come and ask for resort tax to help pay for
Mhm.
their renovations to their fire department or for a new engine, that type of thing.
And the difference is, we'd have the option of saying yay or nay. It'll just be a budget request like,
Mhm.
hey, we want to put in a new park, hey, we want to do this. And so, like I said, that puts the conversation. Madam Chair, we're out of time, but
Yes.
we have that on the agenda for the work session tomorrow, and I'll get those edits made between now and then.
Yeah, we will have some.
Say again,
We,
Bonnie?
go ahead. Are you finished with this part?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
I'll just open it up briefly for public comment,
Okay, I'll
and,
make it brief. This
Yeah.
is all interesting. Going to the whole resort tax issue, kind of seems like allowing the fire department to come back for more money out of the resort tax. We've got issues with I've got issues, in my opinion, where the resort tax is being spent and allocated. The budget that we've been seeing, that I saw back on January 20th, showed an allocation of $400,000 that was already allocated. It was approved. I'm getting that feeling. 25, 26.
yeah, in our last budget for,
Right.
right,
And so,
yeah.
I don't know if you saw the article that I wrote in the Carbon County News, and it's kind of in jest, but it's also, there's some seriousness to it as well. And I think that the priorities for where a lot of resort tax, well, especially that part that going towards the ice rink is where that's going. I think that really needs to be reconsidered. For certain, the new part, the $375,000 that I saw that was being added, really needs to be reassessed, that priority. So anyway, this is just a copy of, now it's got two different titles. Yeah, and you can get copies. I went around town and took photographs of some of the surface infrastructure that I have a real problem with. And I know there's an ordinance that says, you know, everybody's supposed to be responsible for their own sidewalks.
Yes.
But
That's been, yeah, it's always been that way
I know,
for a long
but
time. Yep.
just because it's always been that way doesn't mean it has to continue being that way.
Right, and that's why
And-
we started the 50/50 sidewalk program, is to give people an opportunity to fix them for half the cost.
Yeah, but I don't, that
Totally.
project isn't well funded, and I think that also that, probably the percentages need to be changed. I know that there are people, especially in my block, and you might be familiar with Gretchen, she's, you know, 50/50 might be a little bit
Your block
much.
is on of that big house that's.
Yeah, with the scaffolding and everything else,
For years
yes,
and years,
right,
okay,
right.
yeah.
But, anyway, these are suitable for framing. You could each take a couple and put them into
I know,
your,
no, I know.
into your office to remind you of what we're dealing with and, you know, the hazards that are presented to people out walking, like I walk almost every day.
I would love to get people from walking in the street. I'd love to get them. to
Yeah,
go to
and
sidewalks.
while I was out
That's
taking
been
these
my-
photographs the other night, you know, I'm out walking with my friend, and here comes somebody barreling down the street. We're out in the street on Platt or Hagen, I guess it was Hagen.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, how about a 20%, you know, cut, 80-20, to get people interested in doing the sidewalk improvement program? And making the total amount dedicated to it a lot more, so that you're getting, you know, an accelerated, hopefully accelerated, addressing all these sidewalk and curbs and transitions and all the needs that I see. I mean, this is like Ward, you
One
can
thing-
hardly even see the
One
sidewalk.
thing I would add, Madam Chair, with your blessing,
Yes.
is, one of the things I thought as I read the letter is, this is one person's opinion, and
Yes, it is.
we did do a study, and a very wide-scale study, and they're getting ready to do another one, actually, that'll be going out, that asked the general population where they wanted to see those resort tax dollars spent. And so that's what's dictating how the resort tax is making their.
And that's why I wrote
yeah.
this.
And to your point, that 300 or 300 plus whatever
375,000.
is not allocated yet. That's a whole
I know
other
that.
discussion.
I know
Yeah.
that.
This year, so.
And that's why I'm pointing that out. It seems to me that the priorities are screwed up.
And they're revisiting, there's another
Yeah.
survey going out, because they try to do that every 5 years to realign and make sure that they're aligned with what the city's priorities are.
Right.
And the last time, the very overwhelming thing that the city wanted to see was new park facilities. And at the time, in fairness, we were building a swimming pool. And that was, and to your point, a new ice rink, for all intents and purposes, is another swimming pool. You haven't heard us talk, at least at this table, you haven't heard us talk about it as anything other than that.
Right, you have mentioned that, but it's another,
It's another big
I don't know what the fundraising effort has been on the part of the Red Lodge Ice folks compared to, say, the people that were promoting the pool. It just seems to me that, I mean, we're talking about all of the, you know, the resort tax and the load that's on it and everything else. It just seems to me that 400,000 and then possibly another 375,000, plus taking, you know, however many of thousands, could be over 10,000 per year to operate this thing and maintain this thing once it's done on the city's, you know, that money is public money. It is not, it seems like it's being kind of treated like, like a slush fund for pet projects, in my opinion.
So,
And hang on a second. And so I really feel that the priorities are majorly screwed up. Now, the survey is a good thing, and that's, I think that people need to look at that and say, okay, in the context of everything else that this city needs to be spending money on, you know, do we want to spend money, that kind of money, on projects like that, very elective projects?
okay, and we're like out of
Sure,
time,
I
but,
got you.
I just wanna make one comment. It costs the city $150,000 a year to run the pool for 2.5 months. So, that's why we're saying it's another pool project. It's not only the cost of it, it's the cost to run it. This will be cheaper because we don't have staff hired, you know?
Yet.
Yet, you know, and as long as it's free, there won't be staff for, you know, we won't need lifeguards there every day. We won't need someone monitoring it every day like we do at the pool. So, yes, when we are talking about this project, it will be up to council to decide if we want another, basically, pool, only it's in the wintertime. So that we are well aware that there will be operating costs, and this, what they're doing right now is getting the costs, the figures on what it's gonna cost to build it, and then what they want from the city, how much they're going to personally raise, and then how much they're gonna get from grants. So all of those questions will hopefully be answered from, what land use and planning is asking them to put in their MOU for the engineering and design type thing.
And
Yeah,
I
and I
would
still
add that
appreciate the fact that you used that MOU from that
Yeah.
engineering firm. I think that was.
Yeah.
I would add that while the rest of the community has been very heavily focused on location X versus not location X or location Y, I have seen that the council's effort is far more, in my humble opinion, appropriately, directed at what's this thing gonna cost, not only to build, but maintain,
Right.
which is why we're getting that PAR, so we have those answers.
So at that meeting adjourned because we are way over.
And people gotta get to work.
Thank you for